And it says we're live, so
we should probably double check that, huh?
That's probably a good idea. Welcome to the show. This is our first time doing live work like this, so it's a learning process.
Yeah. Hopefully that's muted.
It will be right meow.
Woo!
Please show us. It's us.
Yay!
We're live. Okay, cool. This is our first attempt at a BFF live. If this goes well and you guys like this will probably how we be trying our formats for the next season.
Yeah, it's getting really busy with school starting, so we figured we'd rather get things out in a timely manner versus things being late constantly because my work schedule dictates that my kids come first.
And I'm utterly incompetent and can't edit. It's not my thing.
You've never tried, you don't know.
No, I'm pretty sure I can.
I'm pretty sure you can if you tried.
I'm pretty sure my computer would burst into flames and we would lose everything. Like, it would retroactively ruin the rest of our videos.
So, like, this would be the fourth time we've had, like, technical difficulties involving a computer.
With, like, the threat that we would lose all the work we've put into this so far.
Well, we don't want that to happen.
We don't.
Live is what we're thinking of going with. And this time for our last summer binge was Avatar The Last Airbender. And because of school life, we didn't have the opportunity to watch all of the episodes. But luckily, Joe here has seen all of the episodes because he's actually seen the show before.
This is one of those handful of times where, like, the show is only half accurate because going into it, I've seen all of Avatar and she hasn't. Or, like, there will be times where she's seen a movie and I haven't. Or one of us hasn't seen the movie since we were too young to remember. But yes, in this case, we got through all of season 1 together. I've seen the whole series, and now I really want to go watch Legend of Korra watching Avatar because I kind of like Korra better. She's, like, cooler.
You showed me the one clip and it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
So I would like to just pause real quick to say hi to someone in the chat. We got Paul joining us.
Welcome aboard,
He had
Paul.
been on Fan Friction before, Battle of the Brits.
Yes.
Yeah, so thank you for showing up.
Yeah.
We weren't sure if anybody would be here. It's kind of a weird time on a Sunday evening/afternoon, depending on what time zone you're in.
But we did try to take into consideration all you fine folks that are watching Game of Thrones. So we wanted to have it before then, so we're not, like, trying to conflict. So please watch.
Yeah, we know that we can't compete with Game of Thrones. I mean, there's, like, cool things going on there. We're just two random people talking in their living room.
We don't have a mother of dragons. We do have a pair of cats in the shop, though. Yes. See, one of them is stretching and coming to attack.
Yep. See, this is Tiblet. Normally, we'd edit her out of the show.
Unless it was, like, hilariously appropriate. So let's start talking Avatar.
Yes.
Because I'm sure Paul is enjoying watching us just, chat, but he would probably like for us to get to what we're talking about, as well as all of you watching after we've done this live for the rest of the show.
See, normally we'd edit these things out, but we can't. So Here we go.
Yeah. All right. So Avatar The Last Airbender came out a few years ago, and it was kind of a revolutionary thing because it was this amazing fantasy action thing. No one had said, "Hey, Kim, welcome aboard." Anyway, sorry. Want to say hi.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. And there's Jack, too. But it's this amazing fantasy action martial arts show for kids that also kind of treated them a little like adults. And for a lot of kids in certain age groups, it was their first introduction to the concepts of, like, Eastern mysticism and Taoism and things like that. Even though it wasn't, like, beat over the head with it, it still introduced a lot of the same concepts and tenets involved in those things.
I remember when it first came out, and it was like, it felt very much like Nickelodeon was trying to capture that anime aspect with the way the art style looks and also the nature of the show, but like basically a domestic anime.
Yeah, and that's not inaccurate because there are some people that would consider this like an American equivalent to something like anime. Hello, Jeff. Welcome aboard.
And Corey.
And Corey.
And Jack.
Yeah.
So, yeah, lots of people showing up. Good. I'm sure if they can't hear us, they would have let us know by now because that would have been horrible. Definitely. If we just, like, went on and nobody could hear us.
So the story takes place in a fictional world that has some similarities with ours. One moon, one sun, that kind of junk. But it seems smaller. But it's like a fantasy-esque, medieval fantasy, Renaissance fantasy style world, but everything's like Eastern themed, which is cool. in the get-go of the show, we have everyone lived in peace until the Fire Nation attacked. Only the Avatar can fix things. I think that's season 2. We haven't gotten there yet as what we've watched, but I'm going to make her watch the rest of it when we have time.
Mm-hmm.
The cabbages, that is. Yeah, we watched the whole first season, watched Aang start in the southern water tribe and end up at the northern water tribe. And what was your impressions of this show?
All right, so my thoughts on the show were, like, it seemed like we're going through all these, like, very serious moments. Like, it's going to be kind of more adult and edgy, but then somebody cracks a joke to kind of ease the tension, probably because it's aimed at a much younger audience. So, like, it was kind of a blend of, like, really silly humor, but also had, like, a really good serious story. And, like, when we got to the last episode, and I can't remember her name, but she was the princess of the Northern Water Tribe. She has to make this sacrifice because the moon has been stolen by the one fire guy. I don't know anyone's names. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad with names on shows, and there's like too many characters.
Well, and it's a stressful time of the year for us as well. So
yes.
It's a lot to absorb when we have a lot of stuff going on.
I don't even know the names of the shows I actually watch. I just rename everything to what Joe knows I call them by. Yes. So
I mean, after about 4 seasons, you finally remembered Cisco.
It's true. It's true. Anyway, so yeah, very serious, but with these comedic elements. I thought it was pretty enjoyable. Corey is saying that her name is Yue.
Yeah, Yue.
So
I remember it was something along those lines.
So she makes that sacrifice because they stole the moon, and you know, like the other character that liked her, the brother of, I don't know anyone's names. Joe, you're gonna have to help me.
So the 3 main characters, of course, are Aang, our Airbender, who is the last Airbender. He's so much better. He's more like Goku.
Okay.
If we're really comparing characters,
like Krillin, though,
he did
with a little arrow.
But we have Aang, our Airbender, who is also the Avatar. We have the 2 siblings from the Water Tribe, Sokka and Katara, or Sokka and Katara. Sokka is the brother. He is not a bender. He is more of a warrior and a scientific
and he's
mind.
Like the comic relief character.
Well, Aang is also really comedic as well. He's like, when I said Goku, that's an apt comparison because he's got a serious thing going on. They don't want to see your butt tip. He's got a serious thing going on with his quest and his goal and his internal angst at having to be the Avatar and letting his people down. But he's also like, when he's supposed to be learning water bending, he's like, look what I learned how to do. Makes a snowman.
Or when he dives through the cloud.
Yep.
He's like, oh yeah, clouds are water.
Yep. So Aang is our Avatar, and Katara is the waterbender, and Sokka is the warrior person. So, can you remember that now?
No.
Okay, that's fair. So anyway, Katara is the person you're talking about.
Okay.
Probably the sister. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, she's the serious one, and then her brother's always joking around and doing typical boy things, like having crushes on people.
Yep.
And then there's the Fire Tribe.
Yeah, the Fire Nation.
Prince
Zuko. You got it?
I remember that.
What about Uncle?
I know that I kept making a joke from a different show about
Jackie Chan Adventures.
Yeah,
but Uncle Iroh.
Thing, which is not the right show.
No. Uncle Iroh, played by Mako.
Yeah, he was really cool.
And he is a perpetually awesome character. Kim brings up that there isn't just one throwaway comic relief character. They all have their moments for serious, and that's true. Yeah. Even Katara has really comedic moments, but she is often put, as far as the writing is concerned, in like the elder sister, like mom role of the team. Mm-hmm. Like when you have because it's still a show for kids, so there's like kids archetypes that are involved in it. So like just like any show where there's like a sister and some brothers or whatever, the sister often has to be the mom of the mm-hmm. small group occasionally. But in general, they all have fantastic parts. I noticed something when we were watching it, and Aang was showing off to some people that he's the Avatar. That he was the first one to use fidget spinners before they were cool.
Fidget spinners. I hope that fad goes away.
It will. It's a fad. It'll die eventually. But yeah, what did you think about some of the characters? So you've already talked about that you liked most of them for the most part, but you're getting to the Fire Nation.
Yeah, so I know there was like Prince Zuko, and like he seemed to have a lot of issues where like there was a lot of pressure on him to stop the Avatar, and he didn't stop him. And
his whole deal is his father banished him for being an embarrassment, and he feels that if he gets the Avatar and brings the Avatar back, then his father will welcome him back.
Mm-hmm. I remembered a really cool scene where they had broken into the fire temple, and like the door was guarded by like all these different firebenders.
It was a big mechanism, and the only way to open it was to have either the Avatar use firebending because it was a big deal, or 5 other individual benders could open it. So,
but Aang doesn't know firebending at this point, so they tricked them into opening the door. I thought that was really cool.
Yep. I really like anytime they involve the spirit world, like when that one spirit was attacking the village, and then Aang just figured out it was a panda spirit, and it was kind of upset that the forest was getting destroyed.
I mean, wouldn't you be upset?
I would. I really would.
So that's probably a little bit like a political commentary about like the forests, being destroyed.
In a world where spirits roam the land and you actually control the forces of nature, one would imagine some people would take that stuff a little more seriously.
Oh, cats. Atticus. Again, these are all things when we aren't live we can edit out, but we can't lock our cats up during the show because that's mean.
So there's been some talk against the movie, which is the elephant in the perpetual room with this series. And Jack, for example, had his introduction to the Avatar series from the movie.
I remember the commercials for the movie.
I do too. And Jack gets a lot of flack because he enjoyed the movie before he saw the series. But Jack does bring up a good point. If it wasn't for the movie, Jack would have never seen the series, which that's fair. Series is still really good. It's so much better. But yeah, so let's get back to the talk at hand. What were some things you didn't care for about it?
This is gonna sound weird, but I just couldn't let go of like all the moments where it's like, oh, Nickelodeon, why? Just, mainly with like what I felt was like inappropriate comedy, just like let it have that emotional beat, because a lot of animes, like when they edit them for American audiences, they won't let those moments of silence hang there. They always have to add in a voiceover or cut to the action, or they'll clip a bunch of episodes together and take out a lot of B and C plots.
That's fair.
And I just wish that they would have had maybe not necessarily foresight, but just kind of let some of those emotional beats hang just a moment longer before like a weird joke happens. Like I know it's aimed for kids, but you can let things go a little longer, and I don't think it would make kids too uncomfortable. We don't give kids enough credit for things.
So if anything, I think the second and third seasons reduced that.
Okay.
I think with the first season, they were still like our audience's kids. So we got to have that in there every so often. And I think they started realizing that they had a broader audience than they originally anticipated. So they kind of expanded that with the second and third seasons and let the serious moments be serious. There's still some of that. It's going to be in there because that's just the nature of it, especially with a character like Aang, who
is very young.
Yeah. Any other commentary you have on the show?
I thought the animation style was really clean. It was fun. I did like it. I think I want to sit down and rewatch the first season again, just where I can like pay better attention to it, because like we said at the top of the show, like a lot of school things are going on right now. So my attention, even though I'm like watching this show and trying to pay attention, like I'm thinking about like, what am I going to do for my lesson plan?
Yep.
I got to do this for my classroom. And so my attention was divided. So I want to go back and rewatch the first season and give it a proper watch. Sometimes in the summer, it's hard to, even though you have a lot of time, doesn't matter like what your job is or whatever, binging a show that has a lot of episodes can be challenging.
Yes.
And sometimes you do notice repetitiveness of shows, but I didn't notice too many repetitive plots with this. It felt like they were trying to tell this continuous journey of Aang learning different powers and trying to get to the North Pole, basically. Hello, Atticus.
Because for the overall arching meta plot of the first season is he needs to go to the North Pole to find a master to teach him waterbending so he can get good. And by the end of the first season, he finds someone to teach him the basics of waterbending. Katara, who is kind of very early waterbending skill, also starts training under this said master. But very quickly, Katara takes onto it like that. Like,
so she's like
super
a natural.
easy, super good. Like all the people that were training under this master for a while, she beats them easily in like basically sparring and duels and stuff. So by the end of the first season, whenever that master is like, I'm going to the South Pole to help our people rebuild their tribe down there. When Katara expresses concern that Aang still needs someone to teach him more waterbending, he's like, "You'll do. You can handle it. You teach the Avatar waterbending."
I mean, I guess you gotta learn sometime. No one's perfect.
Except Atticus here.
You mean Bellamy?
But
I called him Atticus earlier.
I know. So I'm going to talk about a few things now that I really like from the later parts of the series that we weren't able to watch.
They did tease something that was going to come up in the second season.
I'm
where
going to talk about Azula.
Yeah, they showed this character as like, oh, somebody's going to like go after, I guess, the prince.
That's brought up in that same episode when Aang and Zuko are in the cave and Aang's still unconscious in the spirit world. Zuko starts talking about like, you're like my sister. Everything comes so natural to her. I had to work for everything, et cetera, et cetera. This female character that we're introduced to at the end of the first season is Azula, Zuko's younger sister, who is a prodigy firebender, and she's like amazing and also a psychopath. Like legitimately, like there is no most of the characters, because this is a kids show, most of the characters either have some good in them or find redeeming qualities, especially if they're long-term characters that are intended to be through most of the series. Zuko, for example, you can already see kind of shining through that his true colors are shining through.
Like he's not that bad of a kid,
and it's his true colors, and that's why we love him. That's why Iroh loves him and stuff like that. Which Iroh is an amazing character that talks about Zuko in the fashion that, like, since my son died, I thought of you like my son.
And you could definitely tell.
And I that resonates with me a lot. My aunt is like a second parent to me almost. She's like an extended parent because I grew up with my aunt a lot. I love my mom and such, everything, but my aunt was also there. So I don't necessarily resonate because my actual parent isn't like a scumbag that threw me aside and banished me from my household. But, you know, with my aunt as well. But that's the thing. So Azula is a character we're introduced to in the second season, and she is like super on her dad's team and super psychotic, super evil. She also can do one of the rare things that only extremely talented firebenders can do, and that's lightning bend, where she can basically like create friction with air molecules and shoot lightning, and that's supposedly really difficult to do. But when she shows up in the second season and tries to shoot lightning at her brother, Iroh's just like, nope, throwing it away, because he can like redirect crap, because he's amazing. Iroh's awesome. And there's a season later where he gets cut because he's in prison and he just starts working out the whole time to get back to his fighting weight, basically, and breaks out. It's awesome.
And is it still played by Mako? Okay.
No, the whole season, the whole series, I believe. Anywho, so the other character that I wanted to talk about for a minute that's in season 2, that's a huge deal. My favorite character in the series easily is TUFF. She is the earthbender character that gets introduced to the party, and she becomes a regular crew member with them, all riding on Appa around. She is blind, but she is like a natural prodigy at earthbending. And the way she fights and sees everything is like, she's almost like Daredevil, where she has another way to detect everything. But if this were a role-playing game, she has this capability essentially called tremor sense. She feels vibrations through the earth around her. So like when you're introduced to her, she's in a pit fight with a bunch of other dudes, and they're all coming at her, and they show everything go dark, and you see the waves going out from her, detecting everyone around her, and that's how she fights. That's how she sees. And she's awesome. She's in Korra, from what I understand, and everything else. Her wit is sarcastic and fantastic. There's a part where they're riding on Appa, and they're like looking for something or someone. I don't remember what it is, but she's like, "Oh man, it's over there!" And they're all like, "What?" And they look over where she's looking, and then look back at her, and she's just like, because you know they're flying. She can't see anything. She's awesome. She can metal bend, which is something only incredibly talented earthbenders can do. But yeah, she is an amazing character and my absolute favorite. But there is another elephant in the room I want to address, and this is my personal opinion about this show. Something I have an issue with, and it's the ending.
Spoilers, if you've never seen Avatar The Last Airbender, I don't care about spoilers. But if you do...
you might want to like mute or step away for a minute. It's not like we have subtitles.
Yeah, but we'll do like a hand wave, spoilers done.
Yeah.
And we're done.
3, 2, 1. Okay, so the last like 3 or 4 episodes, someone brings it to Aang's attention because the whole major plot, and they have it in the first season, is that this comet is coming. When the comet comes, the Fire Lord, I think it's Ozai.
I've heard that name before.
Zuko's father, whatever he is, the Fire Lord, will basically make one last major push, destroy the Earth Kingdom, and rule the world like a tyrant, basically, because the comet is supposed to empower Bender's capabilities, or Firebender's capabilities. So the whole series, you're like, okay, we can stop the Fire Lord and do that stuff. And then like about 4 or 5 episodes before the end, people are like, Aang, you know you're gonna have to kill him, right? And Aang's like, I'm sorry, what? Because he's like, he doesn't really want to be violent. He fights to protect people. He doesn't really want to kill people, but you know, he already has, not the point, dragged that one admiral down into the water when he was like crazy fishman form. So the issue I have is that like they have this really good thing building with Aang with like the internal struggle. Like he's got a hard decision to make. He doesn't want to go against his principles, but he's trying to save the world, and that's a big deal. Like you can't, and they're just like, you can't lock the Fire Lord up. He'll just get out.
Yeah, because
he's a firebender.
Yeah, they have powers.
Yeah, I mean,
the elements are all around us,
and he's an amazing firebender.
You can't get rid of the sun.
All he needs is oxygen. Well, they got rid of the moon for a while. Anyway, all he needs is oxygen, and he can heat it up and create fire. Zuko did the same thing when he was encased in ice. He just breathed, and it melted the ice he was encased in. So you can't just stop the Fire Lord. So he's grappling with this fear that like, I don't want to do this, but I need to do this. He goes on a spirit quest to find an answer. And what I would have wanted is for them to find some clever way to do it, or whatever. But instead, what we get is, to me, what I have is like the biggest Deus Ex Machina slap to the face of almost any show ever. And it's basically some guy's like, oh, you can just take away his bending. Like some spirit is like, I'm going to give you the ability to take away his ability to bend. So all you got to do is like hit him on the head or do something to him, and he will never be able to firebend again, and then you can just lock him up. And I'm like, what? Like, I understand.
Had they ever established that you could have your bending taken away from you?
Not before. Not that I'm aware of. I think they established like you can shut it off temporarily. Like you can hit pressure points, but not permanently take it away. And it's not even that bothers me as much that that's a thing they introduce into the world at the last minute, but that's a thing they introduce in the world. If Avatar was a self-contained series, it's a thing they introduce in the world solely to keep Aang's conscience clear. And that's what bothers me. Like, it's a good message and a bad one. Like, it's a really good message for kids because it tells kids, like, there's a different way. There's a different way. You don't have to kill people to win a fight. But the bad message is that different way is just like hand-wavy and magic bullcrap.
Yeah, if they had established that throughout the show that was an option.
That he had to quest to find out how to do that, like a big deal, not just like spirit walk, be sad, not really want to kill this guy, but no, I got to save the world, and then Spirit goes, oh, here you go.
Yeah.
That's.
So if it felt more earned, you wouldn't have a problem.
I think that's my issue. If it had felt that his ability to remove someone's bending capability was earned, I think it would be better because it would be Aang working for a way to achieve his principles as opposed to just meditating and give it to him.
And maybe people putting pressure on him, like, like, let's just take the easy way out.
Yeah, because up until that was given to him, no, all these other people were legitimately right. Like, you can't just throw him in a hole and forget about him. He'll get out and he'll cause problems. And as long as he's in power, the Fire Nation will be like, well, he's our leader. So
we're going to listen to him even if he's wrong.
Yeah. So
like that one general guy that's like, I will kill the moon even though I'm going to kill humanity along with it.
But yeah, I that bothered me so much because it's just like the simple way for Aang to be like, oh, well, my conscience is clear. I can stop the Fire Lord and not have to make a hard decision. Essentially, the bad message to me is like, you don't have to make hard decisions. Easy answers will come to you if you wait long enough. And that's not life.
I don't know, when we were driving around yesterday and we came up with that easy answer to hang up all those pennants in my classroom.
Yeah, but
I know, it's not the same thing.
We worked to that. Yeah. That wasn't like are we going to have to make a blood sacrifice to hang up these pennants?
Hey, if it got them up in the room and they didn't fall down, I'm just kidding, I would never do anything wrong.
I know.
I just wish I had magic powers, because then I could do all my classroom stuff. We're
done.
No more spoilers.
No more spoilers. You can come back now.
If you even left, we don't know.
We don't know. So we rate the show now.
Yes.
What would you rate at least the first season of Avatar?
I would say the first season, even with me kind of half paying attention to it, it seemed really good, and I felt it was really heartfelt. So I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I give it solid.
I give it about an 8 as well. The second and third seasons I hold in much higher regard than the first. The first, I feel as though like Nickelodeon went kind of like, we're gonna let you do this, don't screw it up. And they were very much like pins and needles trying to make sure they didn't screw it up. Oh, so Corey doesn't want to mention The Room. Are we tearing you apart, Corey? You're our best customer.
Oh, hi, Mark. Never actually seen that movie.
I've seen it twice.
You've seen the whole thing?
Yeah.
When?
It was on Adult Swim one night.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
I watched it twice.
Anyway, so we have a lot of tangents that we go on. You're like getting all the behind the scenes because I'm so good at editing them out. No, not really, because you can always tell. Awkward cuts.
Great Divide is the absolute worst part of season 1. I could see that. I'm trying to remember the Great Divide part. Maybe I don't want to, and that's why I don't. But now we move to Twitter.
Yeah, let's go to fan friction first.
Okay.
Because this was obviously on fan friction.
Yep. This came from a question that people asked, and
I'm pulling it up right now because we're so prepared. I screenshotted it.
If you want to talk about annoying filler episodes, check out the show Just Whelmed that was on earlier with Eric, who's returned to the chat now, where we talk about episode, I think, 24 of Young Justice, where it's like important things are happening, but we're going to go divert and solve a crime for Interpol or something. I don't know.
Interpol needs help. All right, so this was a fan-submitted question from our fan friction episode. This is Why We Fight, or I think it was just called Why We Fight, which was episode, it was like one of the second to last episodes of the season. And I don't have the notes of who submitted this question, but in honor of 3 brand new fighters on fan friction, who was the best character from a TV series introduced after the first season? And so Kim had said Elmo from Sesame Street. Adri had said Chris Traeger from Parks and Rec. And Candace is the one who chose The Last Airbender, and she had mentioned Toph as being the character. And you had already mentioned how awesome that character was.
Like so good.
Sorry, Toph.
Yeah. They're proper nouns.
I think those are all really good answers, and me not knowing enough about the Avatar.
Eric's the one who asked it.
Oh, cool. I'm so glad you're here, Eric.
Kim is also here.
Exactly.
Who pulled Elmo.
I think Elmo's a good choice.
Honestly, they're all fantastic choices.
And I love how they're so different, because you got a really young kids show with Sesame Street. You have another kids show in Avatar, and then you have like a totally, regular, funny sitcom. Like, I love Parks and Rec.
The thing is, the amazing part about all 3 of these characters is the level of impact they had either on the show itself, in the case of like Chris or Toph. Let's say Toph as well.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. But it's hard to argue Elmo's impact on everything.
Elmo is everywhere, and even though there's been some controversy with the puppeteer who plays Elmo, it's still like a character that
the character is still amazing.
Yeah, people haven't seemed like super like backlashy about it,
I worked at Target. The Christmas Tickle Me Elmo came out, and I wanted to die.
The new Tickle Me Elmo?
Yeah, the second one.
Okay, because we were in high school when the first one came out, and my friend gave me like a Tickle Me Cookie Monster for my birthday, and my parents were so mad because it's so annoying.
Yeah.
Oh, Cookie Monster.
But yeah, and then Chris Traeger has a massive impact on that show. Both he and Adam Scott's character, who was, God, I wish I could remember his character right now. But Ben Wyatt.
Yeah, Ben Wyatt. Yeah, the Ice Mayor.
The Ice Mayor of Icetown or something like that.
Because he was mayor when he was 18.
Yep. But both of them are fantastic characters to add on. And Toph is like that character that gets thrown in the late series. It's still just an amazing character, and I can't imagine Avatar without her. Like I don't know if I could just watch that show without her on there, because Toph is amazing. She's a surly, angry, snarky character who's still like good at heart. She just gets angry about everything because she's Toph. It's just great. I want to hug her, pat her on the head, and be like, "You're awesome," because she's awesome. But they're all awesome. They're all fantastic characters. I don't know.
Jeff is saying he still has his Tickle Me Elmo. Don't judge him.
I don't, because that's worth money, man.
I know. You probably get a lot of money for that on eBay.
Paul suggested Wesley Wyndham Price. I don't even know what that's from, man. Is that to answer this question? But we have another question while he answers that question that I just asked.
Yeah, but before we ask that question, Kim, if you're still here, do you remember who won that round? Because we didn't have time to like rewatch the footage.
We did not.
I don't remember.
It's been a day.
Yeah, we've had quite a day. But I thought those were all really good choices. I don't know who I would have picked, because my go-to show right now is picking things from like Kimmy Schmidt. But like I guess maybe Mikey, even though he was kind of introduced in the first season, like he really came to his own in the second season. He
was actually a character, not just a one-off joke.
Exactly. So that's probably who I would have picked, because I just loved his relationship.
And Toph won the round, which it's really hard to argue any of those characters. I wouldn't want to be the one judging that round.
I remember the whole episode had a lot of really good discussions. Yeah. Everybody did a good job.
Yeah, all the answers are fantastic. The arguments were good. It's just it's so difficult. So Candace won. I would rate that a 10, because they're all 10 out of 10s for the rating of the answering of that question, personally.
Yeah, it's not like anybody chose something that like made their show worse.
That made me just go.
Yeah, like Elmo.
Not like adding like Wyndham Earl to Twin Peaks. And I'm just like, no, this show didn't need a villain.
Oh no, that would have been the wrong answer.
So
or like Poochie on that one Simpsons that was the commentary about
add-on characters.
Yeah, and then they had like that weird random guy that was on there as well. And when Poochie leaves, and it's literally the animation sounds picked up. I'm very easily amused.
It's okay. It's okay. Who would you have chosen for this answer?
I just told you,
Mikey. Oh yeah, Mikey.
Who would you have chosen?
So I'm pretty sure I would have chosen. I really like. There's a lot. There's like a really large amount of them, and it's really difficult to choose. See, when you're watching the edited videos, this is much cleaner, because we stop
just cut to it, and then we'll restart what we're gonna say. We do that all the time. All the secrets are coming out.
So
pull up the Twitter question.
I would have to say, and this would probably not even be a great answer. Butters from South Park is really good. That's a really good
answer. Are you just gonna steal that?
No. I might go South Park. I really like Tweak. If for any reason it brings his family into it, and Mr. Tweak's kind of a jerk. All the adults are jerks, but maybe. I don't know. I actually kind of like Elektra in Daredevil.
Oh God, she bothered me so much.
But she changed the dynamic of that show, and that's a really big deal. I'm trying to think of other shows I really enjoy, because unfortunately, all that's coming to mind. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go with Ray in Archer. Because I think he was in one episode in season 1 as kind of a one-off character, and then he became a regular in season 2. Jeff says 7 to 9. That's a really good one. That's a fun one. Pretty decent. It's pretty good. So yeah, That's a tough one. I'm trying to think of other shows where they've done that kind of stuff before. Oh, you know what? Ultimate answer. And this is linked to something we've been talking about for a while now. Lucky from King of the Hill.
Oh, yeah. Lucky is a good character.
Castiel and Crowley, both from Supernatural, are amazing choices. Yeah, both Cass and Crowley, that show would not have been the same for so long without them. Charlie as well, played by Felicia Day. Fun fact about the Castiel thing, which most of you probably know this because you all love this kind of stuff just like me. The episode, I think it's called The French Mistake, where Sam and Dean get trapped literally in our world, replacing the actors that play them on the show Supernatural. The guy who plays Castiel, I think his first name is Misha, but I can't remember the rest of his name.
Collins.
Yeah, Misha Collins. He, in the show, was tweeting stuff like making jokes and all sorts of weird, funny stuff. But when that episode aired, he actually live tweeted that stuff at the same time on Twitter under his account. Just fun stuff. Just fun stuff. But yeah, are you looking for the Twitter question?
Yes. Use a hashtag. I remember what it was. I just don't remember how you worded it. And I also need the question so I can know what people. Oh, I found it. Never mind. All right. So, would you like to read the question?
Here at BFF, we are the epitome of professionalism.
Yeah, so professional.
Our question was, what's your favorite Nickelodeon show? And I'm really proud of that GIF. It's one of my favorite scenes in Avatar when everyone's like, it's the Avatar, and the one dude just starts frothing at the mouth and passes out.
I mean, wouldn't you be excited? That's like when they find the Dalai Lama.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, or like the Pope or something. But that doesn't take as long because he doesn't have to be reborn. They just pick a guy and they have to all agree. Anyway.
There's like a chimney or something.
Yeah, there is something with smoke.
So, Paul here has answered in the chat, but we're going to go through these real quick, and then we're going to...
and we'll read your chat. We'll Twitter first, then the chat. Atticus is offended.
Eric here in the chat says, I mean, the answer is unquestionably Avatar The Last Airbender, but got to show love for Korra as well. I really, really want to see Korra. I haven't seen it. It's one of those random shows that like I didn't get to watch and I haven't watched, but I follow a lot of people, or I know a lot of people that are really into it. So I already kind of know everything that happens. Doesn't mean I don't want to watch it.
Kim said...
Oh, in reply to Eric, treats him as like a continuation of the series, which is awesome. One series of 7 books. That's true.
Except apparently Korra starts back at book 1, but...
Oh, yeah, but it's like a continuation concept. It's all one long story in the world. I mean... it just shifts the focus, and I like that.
Bill Pollahan at B-Buster Bill said Avatar, Old SpongeBob, Hey Arnold, Rugrats, and Doug animation-wise.
That's fair.
I remember when Doug, Rugrats, and Ren and Stimpy came on the first time and just, like, blown away, like, oh, cool, like, original animation. And they were so different from each other. Like Doug is about like an adolescent trying to fit in. Rugrats like a very weird meta story where like these babies are having these adventures, kind of almost like Muppet Babies, but without much of the meta humor. But like the adults don't get them. And then Ren and Stimpy, which is so surreal. Like I can't believe that was on Nickelodeon. That's
a show that I think is one of those shows that when you're a kid, you're like, I'm pretty sure this is what being on drugs will be like when I'm an adult. I have no clue, but I'm pretty sure how I felt when I was a kid. Eric agreed with Billy's suggestion of Rugrats, also fantastic. Kim Hanley here, who's also in the chat, said, "Are you afraid of the dark?" Honorable mentions to, I don't know what Atla is, but I'm dumb, so. But Fairly Odd Parents, Roundhouse, Nick Arcade, Guts.
I remember Nick Arcade.
I do too.
Yeah, Kid Anon was also excited that somebody else remembered Nick Arcade. I remember wanting to be on that show. And then like years later, I watched it again and realized like all those kids like were playing the games wrong. It's like, you need to get this many points. It's like, why are you going backward in the game? ActRaiser is linear. And why was it always ActRaiser?
I don't know, but that's what I said. Always ActRaiser.
It was.
Kim brings up Log being the best commercial on Ren and Stimpy. I see your Log and raise you. Don't whiz on the electric fence.
What about Dog Water?
That's no. Don't whiz on the electric fence.
I know, but Dog Water. Or that meat sandwich.
Oh, Atlas Avatar The Last Airbender.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. Samuel Catlin says Legend of the Hidden Temple or Secret World of Alex Mack. If you mean animated, hey Arnold.
And we just meant any Nickelodeon show original.
Yeah. Legends of the Hidden Temple, I think, was like Nick Arcade Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Like the beginning of Nick Arcade, I like better because it's all video games and it has the dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun,
Are you
dun,
gonna,
as he moves around the grid.
Then Nickelodeon's gonna be like, I'm sorry, we're gonna monetize this video because you sang the song.
That's fair. Oh, gosh. But that temple was the coolest part. This massive
and
temple.
Like when that like
kids
dude would come and like get you or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the temple guards.
And then Guts was awesome for that reason as well. The aggro crag. Who as a kid didn't want to scale the aggro crag?
Well, if you were a fat kid like me, no, you're like, I would fail at every challenge on this show.
When I was a young kid, that was like, that's motivation to stay in shape.
I'm like, nope, aggro crag. Not going on that show.
But he also brought up Secret World of Alex Mack.
That was a fun show.
I love it. It was like my first conspiracy theory show.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hey Arnold, which I think was the show everybody's.
That's real popular among a lot of people that are a little younger than us.
Well, it's a show about growing up,
mm-hmm.
and it does it really well.
Yeah, I think it's. I remember people talking about how like real that show gets because like Arnold doesn't have his parents.
Yep.
And lots of stuff going on.
It's actually a prequel to Spider-Man. Spider Football. So TJ Dex said, "Are you afraid of the dark?" Which I also loved. Are you afraid of the dark?
That show scared me so much.
As a kid, I grew up watching The Twilight Zone as a really young kid. So Are You Afraid of the Dark really didn't scare me.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, look, it's a monster. But it was like really cool to see stuff targeting us like as kids. Because we were like early teens when this stuff started happening.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Pete and Pete. I didn't get Pete and Pete.
It was very surreal.
It wasn't my bag. I did like Artie, the world's strongest man. I loved that he couldn't beat a bee. But it's me. Salute Your Shorts. I did enjoy Salute Your Shorts. I never went to camp, so watching.
You went to church camp.
That's not the same. Don't even.
Okay.
That's not.
I've
the
never
same.
been to camp at all.
Because it was basically a glorified hotel.
Oh.
Nick Arcade, of course, brought up already. Double Dare, which I saw that in the comments earlier. Double Dare is like, I think it's the penultimate description of Nickelodeon shows.
Like that's what you thought of as Nickelodeon is like Double Dare.
Because you got slime.
And Corey had mentioned earlier you can't do that on television, even though I think that's an imported show. I think it was originally a Canadian show, but like when you think Nickelodeon, like that's where they got the whole like you get slime, and that show is so disgusting and creepy and awesome. Like I loved You Can't Do That on Television, like a kid's show that would dare to.
Yeah, and Jeff brought it up, and Corey's talking about it too. There's huge props to Mark Summers as a human being and entertainer because he is like severe OCD.
Mm-hmm.
So doing Double Dare must have been a nightmare for him. But still, oh man, I'm glad he was able to move on and do other stuff from that he can enjoy a little more.
What was your favorite show from Nickelodeon?
I don't know. That's really hard to say. Favorite show from Nickelodeon? Man, I would have to say it's Nick Arcade. I grew up loving video games, and video games are totally my thing. They're my jam when I was younger, before I found tabletop RPGs. And because of that, video games, seeing a game show about video games made me be like, I could do this. I could win this show. I could win that show if I was on it to save my life because I'm bad at ActRaiser. But
apparently no one's good at ActRaiser.
Right.
As far as original Nickelodeon shows go, I really liked All That because I've always been a fan of sketch comedy.
Yeah.
I also really liked Roundhouse, but All That just seemed more like fun, and there was like little in jokes, like their producer that was always like being harangued by the kids. And like I remember there was this one sketch in particular where it's like, man, nobody wants to do the liver sketch. Like my mom said I couldn't do it. Malcolm Jamal Warner couldn't do it because his mom said he couldn't, and all sorts of things. And then eventually it changed to this pizza sketch, and suddenly everybody on the show could be in the pizza sketch.
Well, who wouldn't want to be on the pizza sketch?
And like Ear Boy and
I loved
Lori Beth Denberg with her little news segment and
Ask
Ashley.
I also really enjoyed the when they had Ross Perot on all that.
Yes, that was so timely.
With the ears.
Uh-huh.
So
didn't he write the book I Quit, or was that on SNL?
I don't know.
It's hard to remember all the sketch comedy stuff because the impression was pretty much the same thing, like an annoying person with a high-pitched voice. Oh, who in the chat remembers Ross Perot?
So
timely.
I can't remember the actor's name, but I feel like the guy who played their producer was like on Waiting and Anchorman.
I don't know who you're talking
Yeah.
about. I don't know if that was him, but we'll
Like that, I feel like that's a thing.
It looked like him.
Yeah.
Paul brings up from earlier in the chat Kenan and Kel, which was spun off from, I guess not really spun off, but they
got their start on all that.
And then, of course, Kenan was on
SNL
was Kenan,
now.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kenan Thompson, which he's going to be on there forever. I think he's actually quitting, but he was on there for a long time.
Yeah.
And he does so much great work. It's one of those things where you're like, I really wish Kenan and Kel could get back together and do fun stuff.
I don't think they like each other.
They don't. I don't think they care for each other.
Anyway, Corey brings up a show that I remember liking a lot. Not necessarily an original Nick show, but Mysterious Cities of Gold.
Yep.
An early anime.
Yep.
Lots of fun stuff.
But yeah. Wow, Gabriel Iglesias was on a season of all that. That's intense.
Oh, another show I really liked was called Welcome Freshmen.
Oh,
Remember,
yeah.
That was only on for 2 seasons. And I teach freshmen, so yeah. It was a weird sketch. I don't take that face. They're all lovely children.
Yeah, you honestly asking me what my favorite Nick show is will change from day. The answer will change from day to day.
Jeff brings up Hey Dude, where they all worked at the Dude Ranch.
Yep.
I actually really liked that show. And one of the guys ended up going missing, apparently. The guy that was a Native American. I can't remember his name.
I don't think they found him to this day. And that's scary.
Yeah, and then their boss was their boss was super incompetent, and
was that Stephen Colbert?
No, it wasn't.
It's an actor that looked kind of like him, if I remember correctly.
I mean, he had glasses and dark hair.
Like the way it was combed too.
Anyway,
I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy. I'm never gonna survive unless I get a little crazy.
Yeah, and I think we probably talked too much at this point.
Ken brings up real quick that Kenan officially became the longest running cast member this last season.
Oh, nice.
So he beat Tim Meadows basically, and was it Daryl Hammond?
Oh yeah, Daryl Hammond.
Yeah. That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's got steady work because Kenan Thompson's a delight. Anywho, that's it for us for today's episode.
Yeah, this live episode experiment, which, like we said at the top of the show, all of the episodes will be live this season because of my time constraints with school and plus the fan friction schedule, which that starts next Sunday. We're going to have a lot of back-to-back Sundays with that. So we figured, going live would be the easiest way to do these so they actually get out on time versus them being constantly late and causing unnecessary stress in the Davis household.
Unnecessary stress. As you can tell, we already have so much stress with sleeping cats.
Yes.
There's like more of them around here somewhere. Man, I haven't seen Beatrice all day. Anywho, so we don't know what the future episodes are going to be. Like that's the benefit of the backlog is we could kind of plan the episodes out a little bit. But we'll know what they are when we get around to it.
Yeah, and so next Sunday,
I am fighting in fan friction
because that would be me.
I'll be fighting next Sunday against Langley Neely and Billy Business, and that'll be interesting. We're gonna see if I can actually nail down a W this time because I haven't won yet.
Yeah, despite your amazing performance in the championship episode where you beat me and Tom and everybody.
Well, I mean,
I'm not good live. I know. I'm much better if I could plan out an argument. But yeah, you've never won an episode. I've won one episode.
My issue is most of the time I can't get to the speed round. No, no, no.
It's okay.
Anywho, I'll be fighting next weekend, and by then we'll know what we're going to be doing for our next BFF.
Yeah, and so we're still talking with the team about whether or not we'll do them the same Sunday, or if we also talked about doing them possibly on Mondays before Odd Shape Panel. So we'll let you guys know when it will be, but it'll definitely be in an evening time frame, just so it's consistent. Because what we care about is it being consistent.
Yes. And not stepping on other people's toes.
Exactly, because there's a lot of other great people out there that have a lot of great shows going on. Like Eric's in the chat, he has his show.
And we really don't want to do that to you guys.
And I know Tom Zambino has his show. Of course, Tom and Kimber have a lot of great shows over at Odd Shape Channel.
Mm-hmm.
So we just don't want to interfere with that. Speaking of interfering with things, I'm pretty sure Game of Thrones is probably on right now.
It's been on for 8 minutes, I believe.
So obviously none of these people care about Game of Thrones.
Or maybe they have it on in the background. We don't know. We don't know their life.
We don't know their life, no.
But thank you for joining us for this. And for those of you watching after the fact, thank you for checking this out.
Mm-hmm.
Please like and follow us on Twitter. I'm at Drake Masters.
I'm at _Mrs. Davis. I've been Ashley.
I've been Joe, and we've been Geek to My Nerd and on the TUFF channel and all that jazz. Oh, it starts in an hour? Oh.
Either way.
Yeah, now you guys have time to go get dinner before Game of Thrones.
Exactly.
We also really want to do streaming again sometime soon. We're just figuring out how we're gonna do that.
So what we're learning is everybody can't care about Game of Thrones.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
Okay.
All right.
Good to know.
Bye.
Y'all take it easy and have a fantastic evening.